more news coming in. President Donald Trump was also asked by a reporter, and I quote, "You've been calling on Europe to stop buying Russian oil. The U.S. has imported $755 billion worth of Russian uranium and plutonium so far this year." Listen in to how the president reacted.
You've been calling.
We have the right man. Go ahead.
I got the experts. You've been calling on Europe to stop buying Russian oil. The U.S. has imported $755 million worth of Russian uranium and plutonium so far just this year. That's up from the Biden administration last year, about $100 million. Can you ask Europe to cut off purchasing those kinds of products?
Doug, do you know anything about that?
Well, yeah, absolutely, but this goes back not only drill, baby, drill, but we've got to mine, baby, mine. We allowed ourselves to fall under dependence of both China and Russia for critical minerals. America.
Ravi Karkara, the President of the United States of America passed off the question to his Secretary of Interior, who said, "Drill, baby, drill, mine, baby, mine," in response to being asked a serious question about America's own purchases from Russia. Why is the United States of America hell-bent on reducing itself to a joke?
It's really unfortunate where we're seeing this because, you're making all these big statements and there's no way that you don't know. And if you don't know, then you sack people who are not informing you as the president of USA. Because if you genuinely don't know, you just made the president of America look like, most ignorant in front of the world media. It's just not a media in the White House. Everybody's watching, as you said, the statement and across the world what comes out of it. And this is the issue. When Alison was speaking, one thing that occurred to me really was with this entire sanctions that came through EU, right, with the Ukraine on Russia, they thought Russia is going to crumble, right? But Russia did not, because India and Russia started doing trade in their own bilateral currency. Similarly, Saudi Arabia and China have done that. So what President Trump and his, cabinet do not realize that the more you're pushing the world into a corner, the world will actually at some point say that we had enough and we will actually move away from the Bretton Woods Agreement and move into a more de-dollarized world. See, the dollar value is not given by USA because dollar is not against gold. It's the value all of us provide, all the countries provide by putting that money to the bonds, right? But once you decide that enough is enough, and I'm not going to do any more, trade in this particular currency, what will it mean? So I think we are honestly in the next few months, we will see some kind of a strong, a reaction, whether it will be a BRICS currency or a SEO currency, something will, or another form of global currency. I had tweeted about 6 weeks ago saying that it's time to call for a global currency meeting in New Delhi and say that the financial and the currency system needs to be completely rehauled, especially in light of the digital economy. The 2 points I want to make is that America is not very happy with the drill baby drill, mine baby mine, because even if you drill, to export that oil or gas all the way to India or China is going to be super expensive. Even if you produce very cheap oil and gas, the cost will be so high. Second, and that's not something which America is very happy. At one point, India was importing from USA, right? The second is Saudi Arabia. If Saudi Arabia has decided to trade in one with China, if Saudi Arabia says, India says, and India's being very, very, I don't know what to say with the Minister for Petroleum, Hardeep Singh Puri, or the Foreign Minister, if they finally get Saudi Arabia to say that, okay, we will agree to buy your oil, right? If you will agree to do this in rupiah or rupee, what will it do to the world? Imagine 1939. Imagine that agreement that the world's oil from Saudi Arabia will be only traded in dollar. So we are now looking at a point where the world is pushed, including NATO, including EU, and many countries across the world, where they're saying that, at some point, I'm sure a call will come and enough is enough because there's so many contradictions, right? If you're importing uranium and you're saying, oh, India cannot import oil, and you're saying, oh, I'm going to continue to increase my import on uranium or rare earth elements, but EU cannot do that. So the irony of US is that they only one rare earth element, a mine which is available, which is in California. I don't know if you know
Yes.
that, and I can probably share the data. That entire mine exports its rare earth elements to China, and then it's processed in China and sent back to USA. This is what we're dealing with. The only thing I really agree with, President, is manufacturing in China. That is probably done strategically, can bring some some hope back. Otherwise, this has not been a very good ride since he's taken on the leadership.
Okay, all right. On that note, I've run out of time, but I thank both of our guests for joining us on the broadcast.